You know, folks, you don't see me do very many garden walkthrough videos. I just have a hard time making them. I like to try to compile a video for you that's short and concise and gets to the point and you can move on to your next favorite YouTube channel. But you know what? Sometimes I just have to give you the nickel tour like you're sitting right here. So, if you're interested in the long drawn out, unedited, Jared tripping and everything video, then grab your cuppa and come along, because that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go shoot a video of me walking through the garden and talk about every darn thing I come across. And if it lasts a half an hour long, then that's what it's going to be. I'm not even going to bother editing it. So if you can put up with that for at least this one time, come on. I had a friend here in town offer me an old chain link fence of theirs that I could make a better door with, and we just never got together on it. I told her twice I was coming over to get it and something always came up. But for what it is, this little wire fence has kept out every wild rabbit and duck I've ever had to worry about. So come on in. First thing we've got going on here, I planted 3 little rows of chamomile, and everything else around it overgrew it in the 3 weeks since I've been out here last. And I can't tell chamomile from the rest of that, and so I've just let it go. Here we have what I noticed over on Praxis's channel. I've called these Chinese lanterns before as well, and I don't know what they really are. So Ray, if you're watching, or somebody from Ray's channel, if you keep up on his videos better than I'm able to, then let me know. We had several of these 2 years ago, not in the garden, but along the side of the house. And this is the first one I've seen this year. I've never seen one in this part of the yard, but we're just going to let it go. And while we're down at this level, let me show you some other things. You can see these 2 onions. And I can't think of exactly what kind of onion they are right now. But either way, they've put off flower heads this year, and I just let them go right where they were. They haven't caused me any problems. We've had chickens in here over the winter. You may remember that video, and they didn't disturb enough of the roots. They came back up. So I kind of said, y'all fought the valiant fight. I'm going to leave you right where you are. While we're down here, it's a little out of order, but maybe you can see the kohlrabi coming up. That's the kohlrabi that's been there since spring. I never pulled it, and now that we had a week where we had some cooler weather than we are used to, they're putting off new leaves. So you tell me, is there any reason I can't just let that continue growing into early winter and harvest them later? Or by that time, would the bulb there have gotten too woody? I've never had kohlrabi. It's the first time I've grown it, and I've never eaten it. So let me know what you think. We have really enjoyed these zinnia flowers, and as you can tell, I will be saving ample amounts of seed. Several of those flower heads have already dried up right there on the plant, and I've pulled them and scattered them all around the yard and various places, and we hope that we'll get more of them. The butterflies love the dickens out of them. They're just all over it, and we love the color, so we're just going to keep going for it. My wife has been on me about making a time-lapse video about these flower heads opening up. And I tell you what, if y'all really want that, if you really want a time-lapse of these flowers, one flower in particular, a close-up on one flower, budding and blooming and growing out, because they don't grow out with all those petals at one time. They come out one layer at a time over a period of like a month or more. If you want a time-lapse of that, comment down below. We'll see if y'all can convince me to go through the trouble of tying up my time-lapse camera for an entire month. Alright, so over here, I've got interspersed in all of these mounds here, or in all of these marigolds. This first mound is where we had our big cage trellis, and I'll be honest with you again, my records haven't been that great. I've got 2 mounds here, this one and one right here. This is where the teepee trellis was. And I decided I wanted to grow some winter squashes, or some squashes, and figured that these would be good places. They were already a round area, so I could mound them up, and they were an area where peas were, so there should be some good nitrogen in there for all of the nutrients that the squash is going to want. That's my thought on it. But one of these is butternut squash and the other is spaghetti squash, and I cannot remember which one's which, but we'll know soon enough. And I'm sure you guys who have grown those are probably looking at the two variants of the leaves, and you can probably tell which is which. But we've got fruit coming in on this one, and if I walk you over here, well, I hope y'all don't unsubscribe from the channel. I can't stand the fact that I know I'm not going to edit this. Somewhere hiding over here, I know it's here. I saw it just the other day when I came in. There we go. There we go. I'm thinking this is the spaghetti squash. Now y'all tell me if I'm wrong. Y'all tell me. Here's a leaf. I think that's a spaghetti squash. And just from the way it's striping like that makes me think it's spaghetti squash, but I don't really know. Okay, so the marigolds. Y'all grow marigolds? I know I've seen Rob Bob down there in Australia. He's mentioned marigolds because of nematode issues. And I grew them because I wanted them to draw in pollinators and their other beneficial effects as companions. But man, I had no idea they spread like this. They're humongous. Y'all tell me if that's typical, or if maybe the peas fed these and they grew a little bit bigger than they might on their own. You tell me. Kind of neglected my little lavender I bought at the nursery. That poor thing. I don't know where I want to plant it, and so it stays in a pot and it doesn't get watered well because I rely on a soaker hose and nature, and so it kind of suffers. But it put on seed. We'll see. In this little patch of ground here, we've got cosmic purple. No, lunar white. Lunar white carrots, just sprinkled all throughout that little patch right there. So it'll be neat to see if those come up. I thought it was not just, it's a good little patch of soil. It had a good tilth to it. And even though it's kind of hot out still here in the south, the state agriculture guide has the extension office, that's the word I was looking for. They say that that August is the time to start putting carrots in the ground again. So we'll see how that goes. Either way, I'm hoping that maybe with the huge marigolds all around them and the zinnia, that maybe it won't get too hot right there. We'll see if that turns out to be true or not. Now look, this is the jungle. This, you may remember from this video, is where the kids and I planted some carrots, and found out on the first rain that this was just a bad place to plant. It wasn't, it was more like a bowl, and it was holding water too well, and a lot did not come up. And then summer started coming. We got out of our very constant rainy season and into our sparse but heavy rainy season, you know, where each downpour is, you know, an inch or so, but we don't get them very often. So it went crazy. And let me tell you what really happened here, okay? You want the honest truth? Here it is. I planted flax in this area, and I have no clue what flax looks like. And I didn't want to start cutting things down and find out that the weed I was trimming back was flax. I have since gone and looked at some pictures, and first off, I haven't seen any flowers that make me think that I've seen flax in here. But if I were to guess, now y'all tell me, I don't know. I have no idea. But this is like the closest thing to the pictures I've seen. And I don't, you know, I have no idea. That may not be flax at all. I have no idea. Here's a big section of it right here. I have no idea. But anyway, that's the honest truth on why this has gotten out of control. Because I was worried that I was going to cut down one of the plants that I was looking for, because I didn't know what I was looking for. All right, let's move on. We grew popcorn, corn, and they all got about 6 foot tall and then laid over. I don't know if this was lack of nutrition, some strong winds, or what. I just don't know. But a lot of these bent. About a third of the way up the plant, they bent and kind of laid down on themselves and still kept growing up, but from bent over. This was the first ear to come on the plant, and I will probably see how brown it is now. It wasn't like that 2 days ago when I was out here. I will probably pull that off of there before, or as soon as I'm done shooting this video. But that's the popcorn corn. So the kids have been looking forward to that, and so have I. It should be fun. Alright, so you can see the sunflower. What else can I tell you about those except how cool they are to just look at them and see all the sunflowers there. I don't know if it's because they're putting on so many seeds, or because the nutrition's not quite right in the soil, but man, they are just flopped over, aren't they? I don't know. Either way, you know what? If it makes seed, I'll be happy. Alright, so this area is where we had the little Marvel pea and lettuces in the spring. And it now has 3 potatoes that were chitted out inside the house. And it has some broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and even some carrot. Now that's a small area, so understand there's not much of each of those, but I wanted to put some diversity in that little area, and so that's what there is. Moving over to the other side, and some more darn marigolds. We've got another area here that'll have broccoli, cauliflower. It's just that time of year for us to start putting brassicas back in the ground. But if I step carefully and show you over here, we had 2 watermelons come on the vine from the volunteer that came up. This is the one that survived. The other one grew up on the other side of the fence, and the ducks promptly found it, and the ducks love watermelon because we throw our rinds out to them all the time. So this one's living, and we'll just keep an eye on the tendril, and when it looks ready, we'll pull it off and enjoy it. And it does look entirely different from the other ones that are growing, so I'm pretty happy with it. I don't think we had, and I know this wouldn't be visible this year around anyway, but I don't think we had cross-pollination. Alright, so look what's going on here. I tried to do a giant pumpkin grow off with MI Gardener, and that failed miserably. So I came back in and re-amended the soil and planted some Connecticut field pumpkin, your classic traditional American jack-o'-lantern. And look what's growing over here. There she is. That is our jack-o'-lantern in progress. And man, let me tell you, if you haven't ever grown pumpkin, if you've got the room for it, grow it one time and just be amazed how quickly the fruit grows. Yeah, I've just been amazed how quickly that fruit gets bigger and bigger every day I come out here. So it is spread over everywhere. You can see this huge okra. I'll talk about it in a second, but there's the okra is in like a middle row. There's another row here and another row over here that was supposed to have pepper plants, but the pumpkin has shaded everything out. So yeah, make sure you got room for those. So this okra is a monster, and I actually want your advice. If you made it this far through the video, tell me what you think would be the best way to handle this thing, because the last time I grew okra, man, I had pods coming out my ears, but the plant was tiny. The plants, all of them, were tiny compared to this. This thing is bushing out like there is no stinking tomorrow. And I've got this one big pod, huge pod. I think I maybe had 1 pod last year that came close to that. And that one's a good 10 or more inches, just eyeballing it from 5 feet away. But it's the only pod. And I know we got a lot of time left here in Mississippi, but I had to cut off some leaves before I even noticed that there was a pod. I never even saw the flowers. So anyway, if nothing else, I'll save seed off that 1 pod, and I'll be happy that I saved seed off of my garden for next year. But I'm not thrilled about the output right now. So let me know what you think. I think I just answered my own question. Look, here's some more of that. What I was saying might be flax all the way over here on the other side of the garden. Okay. that wasn't flax. Folks, that is a good example of me filming something that would normally get edited out that I'm just not going to take the time to do this time. Alright, so in other news, peppers. You may have seen, if you follow me on Facebook, I mentioned I learned a hard lesson that tomato hornworms also like peppers. Some of these pepper plants weren't just devastated by the shading out from the pumpkin. They were also eaten by tomato hornworms. So, but this one's putting on a little bit of flower. See if I can. This one's putting on some flowers here. But I've experienced some strange things. Here you can see all of these hills were amended in the same way. They're all watered the same way. But you can see this one looks like it's wilting and dying out. Yet the one just over here, it looks like it's doing great, except for the fact that there's no fruit on it. And then if we come back over here and sneak a look under this pumpkin, let me see if I can get it to you where I can see on the camera and show you. This is, there they are. This is the cayenne pepper, long red cayenne pepper, that I can tell from here has got plenty of seed in it, but the plant is dead. It's just wilted and dried out, and I have no idea why. It's just baffling me. I've also got a pepper over here. God, this pumpkin makes it really hard to get around. I've got a pepper over here that I don't know what it is. Everybody says it looks like a jalapeno, and you know what? I've got to kind of agree with them. But I didn't plant jalapeno. Yeah, I didn't plant jalapeno. I think it might be a still underdeveloped bell pepper. That's my best guess, but it's putting on more flowers, so we'll see what actually comes from it. So, y'all wish those hot peppers well. I did that for my 11-year-old son, and I really hope that he's had one Tabasco pepper. I'd really like him to get more than just that. Okay, these are the sugar baby watermelons, and they don't look great because I trimmed them. I went through and I clipped off all the old vines that were dying so that the new vines that were putting on new flowers could get me a couple more watermelons, and it's working. You can see there's a little sugar baby right down in there. Alright, now I want to tell you a lesson, okay? This is buried way deep in the video, so this is just for you that I think aren't going to make fun of me. You see this mess? This mess is what happens when you use cottonseed meal as a side dressing for fertilizer. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you're going to use cottonseed meal as a fertilizer, put it in your garden before you ever plant and don't ever use it again, and mix it into the soil. What ends up happening is it's cottonseed meal. Okay, I thought about it once I ended up seeing the problems I was having. I came back here one day and it smelled like there was death. It smelled like an animal had died in the garden. And I finally found this, and it's the cottonseed meal. It had rotted out. It's organic. It's plant material. It's just been ground up. And what happens is you leave a pile of it, it cakes together, and then that cake begins to rot. And it almost makes a water impermeable surface, and then it starts attracting the flies, the stench, and the other bugs and ants and so forth that just destroy. And that's where the problem is right there. And I think I've actually caused a lot of damage to myself throughout my garden because of that cottonseed meal as a side dressing or a top dressing rather than mixed into the soil beforehand. So take that as a lesson learned and do what you will with it. Okay, moving on. Tomatoes. Man, have I had problems with tomatoes and successes with tomatoes this year. I'll tell you what, because of its ease of growth, its nice little size for a snack, and it bounced back really well. This yellow pear tomato, I love it. It's on my favorite list this year. And there's a couple right there that want to be a snack for me. This thing got attacked like crazy by some hornworms. And of course, you know how it is with hornworms. You come out one day and all of a sudden there's a dozen of them out there, and you pluck every single one of them off, and you spend an hour looking for them, and you don't have any for a month or two, and you come back out and there's more. Well, this plant I thought was dead. I mean, it had gotten all but just a few of the leaves, and I decided to let all the suckers grow and let everything else alone and see what happened. And look, it is putting on fruit all up and down the vine again, and I'm pretty happy about that. So these are something that I'll probably be saving seed for the trellis for next year. We'll talk about the trellis in just a few minutes and my successes and failures with it. But as far as the trellis goes, seeing how this yellow pear tomato grows, I think it'll do great on a trellis. Otherwise, nothing else has done spectacular over here. I've gotten some great tomatoes off here, don't get me wrong. My trellising, you know what? I need to go higher quicker with the wires, and you can see once it stops getting support, it's either going to stop growing up or it'll keep growing and then fall over. And that's the problem that I ran into, is just not taking the time to come out here and put up new strings. Despite putting up strings as tight as I can make them go with my hands, I've had a couple strings break. And so maybe the sisal rope that I used was not the best approach. So this is that Florida weave method, and I know a lot of conscious commercial growers use this. So if you've got a CSA, or if you grow tomatoes in bulk and you use the Florida weave method, let me know what you see might be going wrong here, because I liked it. And right this second, I'm not so sure if I'm in love with it. So, but I get that gut feeling that I should keep going with this way. I just need to know the right way to do it. So you tell me. All right, let's get into the trellis. Trellis, oh trellis. Lesson number 1, soil condition. I think I needed to put a better soil into these containers. And I think that if I had, I would have got better growth. You saw me call myself out in a previous video where I put in some plants that were bush varieties that I thought were vining varieties, and ran into those kind of issues. Plants that I thought would cover the entire trellis did not. I put in these Kentucky Wonder peas, and I spaced them out thinking that they would spread horizontal as well as vertical, but they don't. They just send out one big main shoot, and that one shoot made it all the way around the trellis almost. But it's just not enough. Yeah, I guess what I'm really trying to say is I could have planted them a lot closer and had a lot more variety, or a lot more plants on there, and it would have actually done what I was looking for. Otherwise, here's what I will tell you. This is year 1 of trying this. I will be trying it next year because I'm excited for the possibilities. Up here we've got bee balm. Yeah, that's what the purple flowers are here. That's bee balm herb that was planted as a companion plant. My biggest disappointment, but now it looks like it's wanting to make me happy, are these Charente, however you pronounce it, these little personal muskmelon cantaloupe type melons. And that's what you see up here. And they've gone all spring and most of summer without doing anything, and now they're starting to come out, and I'd very much appreciate them if they would go ahead and make me a couple cantaloupes, because I love some cantaloupe. The big zucchini leaves that you can see down here, I only had 2 zucchini so far all summer. One from this plant here, and it got bug eaten very quickly, and I never got to do anything with it. And then this monster down here, which I am now trying to save for seed, and hopefully the bugs will leave it alone long enough that I can save that for seed. Okay, Boston pickling cucumbers, that's what you see growing up on this side. And I've seen a lot of people posting about it this year. They'll post a picture of this, almost what looks like a bulbous yellow tomato. Well, here you go, here you go, here you go. You see what this is doing? See that? Listen to me when I tell you this. I stopped. I was getting every single fruit. Every single fruit was growing like that. And then I cut back my water regimen and started getting Boston pickling cucumbers actually looked like cucumbers. And now I've got too many for me to worry about. So if you're having that problem with them yellowing out in a bulb like that, a lot of people were sending out comments saying, oh, it's yellow, it's just overripe, you left it on the vine too long. Well, yes, they do turn yellow if you let them ripen on the vine, but when they grow yellow, that's a sign of something else. And if it's growing out like a bulb like that, think about your water first. Don't start thinking about what kind of nitrogen and whatever else you need to be putting into it. Think about, could you possibly be watering too much? Down in here also, you can see these leaves. These are the lima bean. It looks like that's starting to put out. See here we have some, look at that. I'm going to say, look, folks, this is how you save seed. The pod dries, you take the pod, you put it in your pocket. You just saved lima seeds for next year. But lots of companion plants, catnip and things across the back. You can see up here, I'm letting these go to seed. These are the Kentucky Wonder pole beans. It's just not what I expected coming out of them. You can see coming up the vine, these are the Amish paste tomatoes. They're starting to put on a lot more growth all of a sudden. And then down here we've got carrots. They're about the only thing still surviving down here. And it's about time I just call that quits and pull them up. So that's in the kiwi. No fruit or flowers on it this year, but it's growing. And people were asking me before, what we're planning to do with the kiwi is cut it down and let it grow again next year. It needs to be repotted if we're going to let it keep growing like this. So we're going to cut it back, repot it in something more permanent, where if it wants to be a part of this trellis system, we can still put it out here. All right, these are true limes, growing pretty good, or excuse me, true lemons, Lisbon lemons. Still waiting for those to yellow up a little bit. And see, look, if you look at the bottom of this pawpaw, you can see what I was talking about, that caking. Like, you see this? This is that cottonseed meal. Don't do it. Don't, it's just stupid. Stupid, Jared. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with seeing all these are the Satsuma oranges. Pretty happy with that. These are the Tabasco. And it's probably one of the most neglected plants in the garden. And look at it go. Maybe that's my clue. I should just leave it all alone, let nature have it, and it'll grow great. Peaches are turning. These are the peaches that everybody's telling us will probably not be desirable to eat right off the pit, but something to put into a jam or jelly. These were the bonfire peach. Sure does make quite a display in spring. More trees. They're not putting on fruit, so I won't waste your time with them. You can see bags on all of this borage where I'm trying to capture seed from the borage. I let the tomatillo keep growing even though we don't have two, and just to see, there was a remote chance it would put out fruit even though there didn't have a companion. It's not. These are the kumquats. They're putting on a little bit of fruit. Interested in those coming to fruition and ripening because I've never had one of them. So that'll be fun. And I don't think anything else is putting on any fruit right now. So let's take a jump over and talk for a few minutes about the side garden. I told you I wouldn't leave that other garden without taking this off. Now if that looks like a super small ear of corn to you, well, that's because it is. This is the red strawberry popcorn corn. And they're only supposed to get this big. So this isn't an act of Jared doing a terrible job. There it is. Aren't those pretty? Popcorn. That'll be fun. Alright, well, moving on. Here is the the other trellis garden. I don't know what else to call it. The grape arbor. I'm not going to remember every single planting I put through here that's still seed, but I seeded several things over here for autumn. I've got broccolis, cauliflowers, cabbages. I think I even put a Brussels sprout or two over here. Either way, the point is it's diverse and intermixed. So first thing you're looking at here, the plant that's got a bag over one of them, that's toothache plant. And if you stay along the video this long, I will tell you that toothache plant has a medicinal property that if you rub it on the gums, or even better, if you chew on it, it numbs. And it doesn't last too long, maybe 10-15 minutes at the most, but it will give you numb tongue, and it will take away all the pain for those few minutes. And it's just good medicinal herb to have around, and a very unique flower. Very unique flower, so it's just a fun little conversational item to have. While we're here, you notice that this is the Concord grape that I messaged you about. It was having all the trouble. It doesn't look great, but it bounced back, and it's about a good 4 feet tall right now. So pretty happy with it. Mississippi purple hull cowpeas throughout this entire trellis. If you see legumes coming off the trellis, that's what you're looking at. Is Mississippi purple hull cowpea, and of course you can see all of the marigold. The comfrey and borage were trampling everything. They were falling over because it's just individual plants. It's not a crowd of plants, so those got tied up for support, and you can see I've got bags on them to save them. The Muscadines are the only thing putting on grapes right now, and they should be coming ripe at any time over the next couple months. So there's some that are more ripe than those, hidden down in everything. But we'll be looking for those. I've taken a lot of this comfrey. A lot of people said, you know, there's two primary comfreys. There's the permaculture comfrey, which does not seed or does not put out viable seed, and produces more leaf. And I forget what it's called. It's a something 14, like Brock's 14 or something like that. And then there's true comfrey, which is this, which does put out viable seed, which means that it spreads like crazy and does not put out as much of a leaf crop. So it's not as much of a forage food, but it spreads on its own, and I don't have to give any work to it. So I might get the other cultivar at some point in the future, but for now I like these, and I've already taken several of the seeds and sprinkled them around different parts near the wood's edge and things like that. So I mean, if nothing else, they have definitely attracted pollinators. The bees love them. Alright, there's not too much to talk about. The hyssop never put out any flowers, and 2 out of 3 are still growing. 1 died, don't know what went wrong with it, but whenever these other ones, they should be perennial in our area, and whenever they do put out flowers, we'll save seed and we'll replant hyssop on the other side as well. You may remember we planted the hyssop as a companion to grapes. It's been shown in the past that hyssop helps produce a larger crop of grapes, so we'll see how that goes. I've enjoyed having this trellis for drying seeds out. And here's another lesson I've learned. I put lettuce seed out here to dry and left it there for a few weeks. And sure, these little bags will capture seed, but they don't keep every little bug out. And what I should have saved thousands of lettuce seeds this year and saved dozens because I would go into what looked like a seed pod, and it would just have powder in it because the bugs had got into it and just ate everything up. But that's yarrow growing there, or not growing, drying there. And I tell you, if there's something that you see, this is going to get completely cleaned out by next month, by September, and this is going to be a little lettuce nursery for us going into the winter. That's my plan right now for this pathway. But you can see that the sage has loved it. The sage has put out a tremendous amount of seed. So maybe that means it doesn't love it and it hates it. And y'all, saving seed off of a sage is just about one of the easiest things you can do. Just pull it up like that. The seeds grow up underneath these and they drop them out. But you can see all these little black seeds, almost looks like mouse droppings on my hand. You can see them in there. That's all sage seed. That's sage seed right there. And my method is just to say, make more babies. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed it. It's just a lot of rambling for me to get you out here and be with us, but not too much in the how-to side of things. So I hope you enjoyed it anyway. I tell you what, well, I'll leave you with something. If you stood along this long, if you sat here and watched this video of me rambling for, I don't even know how long it's been, long enough that you could have went and watched a sitcom probably by now. I'll see if I can't find something special to share with you. There they are. Let me share something special with you. Now, she is the most protective mama we've ever had. But let me share ducklings. Well, that was almost one of the worst teases I could have gave you. I talked for another 2 minutes before I realized I must have mashed a button and did something wrong. Well, anyway, Mama here, she's real protective and she keeps walking away from me, so I can't film for too long, but there she is, our one mama with her ducklings. She laid 5 and left 1 in a cage. We put them in a cage at night just to make sure they don't wander off or a snake get them or something like that, but we'll go get her 5th one and bring them back over. There's the wanderer. There's number 5. There we go. There's a happy family reunited. Look at Mama wagging her tail. She's happy. Alright everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. It means so much for you to take the time to watch videos and comment and like them and share them with your friends. We really do appreciate it. You know what that guy's name is? If you've watched this channel, you know what that guy's name is. Dinner. He's gonna be dinner. He's just too darn loud. Alright everybody. We'll see you next time.